Okay, how you doing today?
Just fine, thank you.
Okay, this is Volume 1, Episode 1 of Pastors of Detroit, brought to you by Great Lakes Art Collection TV. We're here today to give insight, up-depth, up-close, personal touch of all of the pastors of Detroit. You are Pastor Samuel Nettles, so we're starting with you. We're going to give the people insight of who you were before you became a pastor. Then we're going to go into who you are now as a pastor. Who you were as a man before you became a pastor, and who you are now as a man. So, give the people a little introduction about the address of your edifice, how long you've been pastoring, your name, and then talk about who you were before you became a pastor.
Okay, the name is Samuel Nettles. Pastors at 7151 Fenkell here in the greater Detroit area. 1 block west of Livernois. Been here pastoring for 24 years. This particular church has I am the second pastor of this church. Pastor Ralph Millhouse is the founder of the church, and he built the church, and right after he built it, the Lord called him on home, and I came, and I've been pastoring here ever since.
Okay, that's wonderful. Talk to the people about who you were as a man before you found Elohim, Yahashua Mashiach, who they call Jesus Christ. Before you found him and you became a pastor, what kind of man were you?
Okay, I was born in a little town in Arkansas called Camden, Arkansas. I lived there for 5 years, and my mother decided that we should move around our relatives, and we moved to a little town about 15 miles from Camden called Smackover, Arkansas. Small little town, and population 2,624. And I've been away from there over 50 years, and the population is still 2,264. I was raised up there, and from the age of 5 years old. My mother, there was 7 children in the house, and me being the oldest in the house, had to take charge because my mother worked. Growing up for me was challenging. I got a job in the supermarket at 16, and when I worked all that day, and at the close of the day, the boss man asked me, he explained to me how much I had made. I never will forget, $5 and some change. And when he went to give me the money, I said to him, I don't want no money. And he looked at me, a little Jewish guy, looked at me and said, you don't want no money? I said, no. He said, well, what do you want? I said, I want some of this food in this store. Because there were things in the store, food-wise, that I had never seen. That just tell you the poverty that we lived in growing up. But we were a close-knit family. I finished high school there at Smackover High School, and I had visited Detroit on a visit and worked at Chrysler in Howland Park during the summer, and made more money than I'd ever seen in my life. And when my mother wanted me to...
How much money is that?
How much did I make at the Chrysler?
At the Chrysler.
I made a check. The check was $246.
And what year was
And that was for 1 week. That was in 1968, which was overwhelming to me. But my mother wanted me to go to college. which I did apply for a grant at Southern State in Arkansas, but I just could not get out of my mind the bright lights that I had actually witnessed in Detroit. And it was just something overwhelming. So I called my grandmother, who lived at 7551 Melrose on the north end. I called her and I said, Grandmama, if you will send me my fare and let me come back and live with you, I'll pay you rent and I'll do this. And I just gave her a long format, and she agreed. And of course, I did the unspeakable. I failed out of college, told my mother that they would not renew the scholarship, and got on the Greyhound and came to Detroit. As soon as I arrived in Detroit, I got a job in working for Chrysler again. I went right back to Chrysler, started working, and I lived with my grandmother there on the north end from the age of starting at 19. And of course, like a young man, there were many things that as a young man that I had not experienced. Growing up in Arkansas, I only knew one thing.
Okay, what was that?
Church.
Okay.
All I knew was church. That's all we did. That's all was a little small town like that. There were other things to do, but my mother did not allow us to participate with that crowd.
Okay.
So I spent my time in church. The only thing that I did not do as a young man in the church was preach.
Okay.
Yeah, I was a Sunday school teacher. I was a superintendent, usher, and so when I made it to Detroit after a life of church,
Candyland.
yes,
Talk to us now.
I said, "Oh, this is it. This is it. No more church for me. I'm churched out." And of course, as a young man, I started seeking out to experience things that I had never experienced before.
Okay, so give us an age check. What age were you?
At age 19.
Okay, so you're 19 now. You're
And-
saying no more church.
Yes, 19. And then, of course, as a young man,
Young man.
yeah, there were things that I had not experienced.
Okay.
And then I began to experience those things,
Okay.
which I found delight in
Okay.
at that time.
You're talking about women, right?
Yes, I am.
Okay, let's be frank. 'Cause we men Elohim, so we got to be frank with the people. I feel like that's important because a lot of us are on a journey, and they want to know, how do you become a pastor? How do I become a man of Elohim, which they call a man of God in English? And it's important for them to get to know you. And as the first volume 1, first episode pastor, you're giving a great story so far, but just be frank with them and tell them.
Okay, so for about 6 years, from the age of 19 to the age of 25, I experienced many things, marijuana being one of them, which I found at that particular time delight in.
Okay.
It did something for me that somewhat not. It wasn't so much about getting high.
Okay.
Smoking, it made me more apt to do things around the house that I would not normally do.
Okay, so it gave you energy.
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And I experienced that life from 19 to the age of 25.
So what made you quit smoking weed? Because in city of Detroit and all over the world, once you get married to Mary Jane, you can't let her go.
Well, at that particular time, at age 24, I started an organization called Tattoo Musique.
Okay, so you're a tattoo artist.
Yeah, Tattoo Musique. No, the name of the organization, Tattoo Musique, means 3 men.
Okay.
We began to give cabarets.
Okay, so you party in today's time. We call it a party promoter.
Right. Okay. Bring your own bottle.
Okay.
And the organization skyrocketed.
Okay.
We believed in. I formed the organization. I handpicked each man that was a part of the organization. We ended up with 5 gentlemen, and it just excelled.
Okay.
Excelled.
So y'all was getting money.
Yes.
Okay.
We started making big money. 20 grand. Some of you might remember back in the day the 20 grand. Mr. Kelly's Lounge,
Okay.
Starwell, place there on
Take your time.
Starwells, I believe it was the name of the place. But it excelled. It excelled. It just excelled. And strangest thing, I was so excited. I took one of my posters, that the advertisement, and I flew home to Arkansas
Okay.
because I was so excited about this. I'm going home and I'm going to show my mother that her son has
Became a
come
success.
has come to Detroit and has started a good business. And I took the poster home, big red poster, and I was so excited. And I went in to my mother and I said, Mama, I want to show you something. And she looked at it. And I'm expecting her to rejoice with me. And she looked at it and she said to me, Simon, I don't like this. I don't like this. And you can imagine how devastating that was to me.
Right.
Because I'm excited because I'm able now, I feel, to help my mother. Because in the beginning, when I first come and started working, every week, the first thing I did when I received a check from Chrysler was go and get a money order and send it to my mother back home to help with my other brothers and sisters. That was my first objective. But now I'm excited with this new thing I'm in. I can send even more.
So what was you sending back off the Chrysler check?
I would send my mother a money order every week.
About how much?
At least $100.
Okay.
Every week I got paid. The first thing I did was send a money, because I left 5 brothers. I left 5 brothers and 2 sisters at home.
So you was a giver already. It was already in you.
Yes. Well, my responsibility growing up was to take care of the home.
Okay.
Because there was no father in the house.
Okay.
So I always felt that responsibility. Even after I left home, I knew without question what my brothers and sisters were going through. They were suffering financially. So I wanted to help. And that's what I did. But back to the poster.
Poster, yeah.
And my mother said, son, I don't like this. I don't like this. And it was devastating because I thought it was something good. But she said to me, she said, this is of the devil. And I said, Mama, how can it be? And I ended up leaving home, coming back to Detroit, not excited about something that I had started. But at that time, things actually began to change. I don't know if it was because of what she said, how she felt about it, that she began to pray about it. Because when I made it back, all of a sudden things began to change.
Fall apart.
And the men in the organization became greedy. Greed began to take over. And that's being not a spirit of greed not being inside of me created a problem with the organization. So the first thing they said was, what we need to do, we need to change. And that change meant me stepping down as the president and allowing someone else to take over. And with that, that began to make the change.
Okay.
So that's when I ended up stepping down slowly.
Okay.
I met a lady once that I did not know. She was a friend of my grandmother's.
Okay.
And she came in to the house and she saw me and she said, introduced herself, and she asked my grandmother, where did he come from? She said, that's my grandson. And strangely enough, this woman began to tell me things about myself, and I just laid eyes on her.
Okay. How old are you? About 26 now?
I'm 25.
25 now. Okay.
And I said to her, and I'm a dreamer. And she actually told me that I was a dreamer. And then I explained to her what I was going through with trying to come out of the organization. And she actually told me that they're not going to let you go. You're going to have to figure out a way how to come out of that without them knowing. And that was really a strange episode in my life. And not to go into details, but I ended up meeting a young lady.
Okay.
We had a meeting on Stewart Street in Detroit. And I went in this building and I saw a young lady. And of course, I was, when I saw one of them, I was always excited.
For sure.
Yeah, and she introduced herself, and she actually gave me a phone number.
Okay.
And when she gave me a phone number, I took it and went on upstairs with my partners, and we had our meeting. When I got ready to leave the meeting, my partner that lived in the building, I gave him her phone number, and I said, I don't have time to actually call her, would you call her? And sure enough, he called her, and him and I worked together at Chrysler. And the next day on the job, he told me she had a sister.
Right.
And I said, oh yeah? And he said, well, do you want to meet her? I said, well, I don't know right now, I'm a little busy, but okay. So he kept on, and I ended up going to meet the young lady. She was not the typical young lady.
In what way?
She didn't do any of the things that I did.
Okay, so
Yeah, she didn't party.
Okay.
She didn't smoke. She didn't drink. She just worked. She was older than me. I was 25. She was 29.
Okay.
And we started talking. And at the same time, all of this going on, my mother calls me and tell me, I need to be married. Sammy, you need to be married. You need to stop running the streets and you need to be married. And I said, okay. And this young lady that I had met, even though we were opposite in the things that we did, I said, well, maybe she'll do. Now, mind you, during the time all of this is happening, I'm getting out of this organization, and strange things began to happen. A young lady that I had known back in the day became a minister.
Okay.
And she left and went out of town and began to own a mission field. 2 years later, after I was living with I moved from my grandma, I'm living in an apartment, this young lady come to visit me. How she found me, I don't know. Because I hadn't spoken to her in 2 years.
Now, are you still talking to the lady who,
I'm still talking to the one that I met in the building.
Okay. This is the one you met in the building.
But this young lady just out of the blue, just come to my apartment, knocked on the door. And I'm like, well, how did she find me after 2 years? But she was a very wonderful young lady.
Okay, wonderful as in beautiful, or wonderful as in a nice person?
Nice person, and she's a minister.
Okay.
She became a minister. So she came in, and I was greeted her, and strange thing happened. She walked past me and went back to my bedroom. Now, mind you, I'm not moving from my seat. I'm not moving because number one, I know she's a minister. I don't know what's going on with this.
Right.
Out of the blue. And she stayed back in my room for maybe 15 to 20 minutes. And I never moved. I sit in my seat. And she walked out my building. She walked out the room and she hit me on the shoulder. Strange. She hit me and said, "I'll see you later." And she left. Just like that. That's a mystical thing to me.
Okay, so we see you ain't had that demon of lust in you, did?
Right.
Because she was telling you something.
Well, what I believe that happened.
Okay.
Was I believe she went back there and prayed.
Okay.
In my room, because 2 weeks later I lost that apartment.
Okay.
I lost that apartment, and I ended up going back to my grandmother, staying in the downstairs with no heat in the wintertime. And I had my baby brother with me that I was trying to train. Not one of my brothers that I was trying to get him acclimated into society because he was a little slow.
Okay.
Now I'm 26 years old. I'm living in an apartment, cold, building underneath my grandmother. And I'm laying there, and I know this might sound strange to many, but a voice began to speak in my head. And that voice, I never will forget, the voice said to me, "Come, one come, you come." And I just began to believe that I was losing it.
Okay.
I was losing my mind to hear a voice in my head. Now, mind you, I'm still smoking weed.
Right.
So I attributed to this craziness to that.
Right, you have.
Yes, that's what I'm thinking. So it persisted for 3 or 4 days. And I met Chrysler. There was an older man on the job at Chrysler. And I went to him and I told him, I'm losing it. I have a voice in my head. And he says, "What is it saying?" I said, "It keeps saying to me, come. One come, you come." And he said, "Son, that's the Spirit speaking to you. You need to stop the kind of life you living." Of course, at that time, I'm like, yeah, right, whatever. But the voice persisted. And I went back to him again, and he said, "I done told you before, you need to stop living the life that you're living. And that is the Spirit speaking to you." I'm in the church all my life. Now I'm not in. I don't have nothing to do with church. And how could the Spirit be speaking to me? But anyway, I couldn't stand it any longer. And I had met a young lady down the street when I was a younger man, and her mother told me that if I didn't go to church with her, that I couldn't see her daughter.
Okay, is this the same young lady who's the sister?
This young lady is actually the daughter of my mother. I mean, the mother of my daughter.
Okay, because we moving from lady to lady.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is a third lady. This is third lady in her.
Yeah, she actually was the first lady, but I didn't bring her up because she was doing my other days.
Okay.
But I bring her up because how I ended up at this particular church.
Okay.
I went to this church only because her mother threatened me.
Okay.
So it was just a visit.
So were you still talking to the lady, the sister?
Yes.
Okay, so you're talking to her, but you're talking to this other lady too.
Yes.
And the mama tell you that you can't continue to talk to her unless you go
to church.
Okay,
so I visited the church. It's 4660 Military. I visited the church a couple of times, only because the threat from the mother. So when this voice is telling me, and I'm panicking, the only church I know to go to is this church. So this is the only church I visited, and it's going on 6 years in Detroit. So the day came, I decided to go. On my way to the church, I stopped by the apartment where I had met this young lady that was the sister to the lady. And I asked her, because what I found out during the time that I was talking with her, that her father was a pastor, and that she grew up in a family church, in a church family. And I felt that maybe she would be interested in. I just needed someone to go with me to this church.
But I thought you was going to the church because of the girl.
Yeah, well, I'm saying I'm going ahead because I'm just trying to tell you how I found out about this church.
Okay.
Yes, so I'm not seeing this young lady
yet.
Now I'm not seeing the one that mother who threatened me.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not seeing her because she's in college.
Okay, you telling me how you got to even meet that woman?
Right.
Okay.
Right. So so I go by and I asked her to go with me to church. She said, I'm in school. I can't do it. And I said, okay. So I went on to this church. I get there. I'm sitting in the church. The young pastor began to minister. And as he began to minister, all of a sudden, something comes over me. And the words that he's saying begin to feel like someone is hitting me, striking me. And I began to break down in tears. And I'm ashamed because I'm in this church and I don't really know any of these people in this church. And here I am sitting in this church crying crocodile tears. Long story short, he goes on and he preaches, and I'm just out of it. And he says, finally, he stops and he extends his hand and he said these words, come, you come, one come. That was it. That was it. I mean, that's the voice that I had been hearing in my head that was driving me crazy. And when he extends his hand, he says the words, come, one come, you come. And I don't have no choice. I go and I take his hand. And believe it or not, when I turns around and look, the young lady that I met in the building, she's there. She was sitting behind me all the time and I never knew it. And she comes and joined the church.
Is this the lady who told you she had to work?
The sister, yes, told me that she couldn't come.
Right.
Yeah, and here she is.
Because this her past, this her dad?
No, she don't even know no, but she's like me. She don't know anybody there.
Right.
As far as I knew, she didn't know nobody there.
Right.
Yeah, but she knew where I had given when I went there. She asked me where was the church, and I told her where it was, but she still refused to go.
Right.
But long story short, she joins, and he asked me, did I have anything that I wanted to say? And I said, I tried the world, and the world didn't do me no good. And I'm coming back to where I belong.
Okay.
And from that day, I was back in the church. And now the strange thing happened to show you, when you make an attempt to do right, evil is always present.
Okay.
I leave the church, come back home. My partner, who him and I partner in crime, he stops by. He walks in the house. He has 2 6-packs of Budweiser. He set it on the table. And he has a bag of marijuana, and he throw it on the table, and he throw the tops. If you back in the day, you know what tops were. That's
Papers.
Papers.
Yep.
He throw it on the table, and he says, roll them up, boy.
Roll up.
Yeah.
Right.
And I said, and I looked at him, and I said, I'm done.
And it's the same day.
Yes.
Okay.
This is on a Sunday.
They devil work quick.
Yeah. I said, I'm done. And he said, you done what? I said, I'm done with this. Yeah, boy, whatever you say. Roll them up.
And you 26 at the time.
Yes.
Okay.
I said, man, I'm telling you, I'm done. This is it. I'm done with this. And he sit there and he rolled up them joints. He sit there and blew the smoke in my face and drink the beer. And I sit there and until he finished, and he got his bags and he walked out. And it was, I would say, 3 years. 3 years before I ever looked him in the face again. Because when I say I was done, I was done. And I got back into the church, the things that I knew, because I knew church. That's all I knew.
Okay.
Yeah. So I began to.
So you never smoked weed again after that?
Never.
Never drank.
That was it.
Never drank again after that.
Cold turkey.
Never drank again.
Never again.
26.
Never.
How old are you now?
76.
So you telling me that's 50 years you ain't
Yes.
took no smokes and no drink?
Go none.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
yes,
Okay.
yes. I give God the glory
For sure.
that.
I give
But
him the glory.
but I lost the taste and a desire for that because it was something that I know. The first drink that I ever actually had in my was I was 21 years old with the first drink that I had. Now I smoked, but I never drank. But anyway, fast forwarding back to the church. I'm in the church now, and thanks be to God, the young lady whose sister that I met, I asked her to marry me.
Okay.
I had only known her 6 months, and she agreed. And I believed in my heart that the Lord gave her to me and provided for me the type of woman that I needed because he knew my future.
Okay.
Yeah, I was not. And so after we got married.
When you say the kind of woman you needed, I mean, because you had a wandering eye, because you was lazy, because you was
when I say the woman that I needed, she possessed the moral character
okay.
in a woman at this particular time that I needed to keep me grounded.
Okay. She was the proper helpmate for you to get to your next level.
Yes.
Or to guide your hand to become the man that you needed to be.
Absolutely, because all the things that I did, she did not do. So if I'd have ended up with someone
right.
that, I might would have been tempted.
To backslide, right?
Yes. So after about 3 years in the church, I became a deacon.
Okay.
The pastor made me a deacon. After I got married, I became a deacon. And I actually was a deacon of the church for 5 years.
Okay, so you were about 30 by the time you became a deacon.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And then after being a deacon officer for so many years, strange things began to happen in my ministry. And I know I don't have all day to tell this story, but I'll try to tell it. I'll try to tell it as quick as possible. When I, as a deacon, my grandmother, who I lived with, moved back to Arkansas. And when she moved back to Arkansas, her youngest son, who she loved, did not go. He said he was never going back to that little town. So I'm going home to visit. But every time I go home, my grandmother has this sad look on her face. And she's asking about her son, her baby son. And so I come back to Detroit and I'm despondent. But fast forwarding, in 1979, I had an aunt to pass in Smackover.
Okay.
My wife and I drove 1979. I go to a funeral.
Because your aunt had passed.
Yes.
Okay. So you
The son to the aunt was stationed in Germany. He couldn't make it home, so they delayed the funeral. So I took the time. My wife lives in Hattiesburg, Mississippi, so it's only like 200 miles from my home. So I told her, I said, let's go over to your mother's home.
Okay, so that's where your wife was from.
Yes, Hattiesburg. Okay. So we go to Hattiesburg, and we're there a day, and that night in that home, I have a vision.
Okay, because you're a dreamer.
Yes, in this vision, I'm elevated, and I see a man that I knew, a minister, in a field chopping corn. And I'm looking at him in the vision, and he's not looking up, his head is down, and he's just chopping. And I said, in the vision, I spoke and said, he needs some help. No, I said, he can't do all that by himself. And the Spirit spoke to me and said, in the vision, he needs some help. And I'm thinking to myself, what? He needs some help. So I wake up. When I wake up, my mother-in-law and my wife, they're all sitting at the table talking about dreams and visions, because my wife's father was a pastor and he was a man of vision. And so they're talking about visions and all. So to inject in the conversation, I said, well, Miss Hunter, I just had a dream in your house. And I told her about the vision, and she jumps up out of her seat and put something on her head and excited said, son, that's your calling. That's your calling. Son, that's your calling. And I'm looking at her going like, my calling for what? She said, and she's like, just speaking in tongues and saying, and it happened in my house. And I'm going like, this is out of the world. So I told my wife, I said, look, it's time for us to go. And so we go back, we go to the funeral. This is in 1979. So I just want to take you back to see how this happened. So this is 79, 80, 82 is when my grandmother is home. And I want to make my grandmother happy. So I'm going to my uncle and I'm begging him, because Mother's Day is coming up.
Right.
And I'm begging him to go home with me to see his mother.
Right.
And he's cussing me out and telling me I'm not going nowhere, forget that. And I'm so despondent.
How old is you at the time?
Now I'm 31.
Okay, so
31.
In 82, you're 31.
Yeah, okay. And no, 82, I'm 32.
Okay, you're 32.
Yes, so, I said 81?
Yeah, 81.
Yeah, I'm 31.
Okay.
So, I'm begging my uncle to go, because I know I love my grandmother and I would like to see her happy. But he's telling me I'm never going back to that little old town. And so one day at Chrysler, I was a high-low driver. I pulled up to the bathroom at the Chrysler, the bathroom down in the basement. I go down and I sit down, just sitting there, and I look up to heaven and I say these words. I said, Lord, if you will make my uncle go home to see his mother, I'll do what you told me to do. Just like that. Just like that. That's all. Come back, got on my high-low, did my job. Every day when I got off from Sterling Heights, I would drive to the North End to ask him one more time. This particular day, he's in the barber shop. I walks in the barber shop. He's sitting in a chair. I walk up to him and I ask him one more time the same thing I have been asking him forever. Uncle BJ, will you go home with me to see your mother? And he looks me straight in the face and said, yes. I said, what did you say? He said, yes.
Won't he do it?
I said, now I'm overwhelmed because now I have committed myself to a word. So I'm just overwhelmed. I don't know what to do.
Okay, the people are a little lost now because the
Okay.
lady, your wife's peoples in Mississippi,
mother.
said that that's your calling.
Yeah, that was in '79.
Right, but we never got the understanding of what the calling was because you was supposed to be helping somebody chop corn. What was the?
Well, the minister.
Oh, minister.
She said that was my calling for the ministry.
Okay, so the chopping of the corn was him chopping down the
laboring
in
the field.
Laboring in the field is the gospel.
And the corn represents men.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's how she read it into it.
Okay.
But I don't feel that. So, but coming back up to my uncle saying yes, after I have made this commitment to the Lord, and so now I'm too overwhelmed. So I go to my pastor, Leonard Thomas.
Okay.
And I said, Pastor, I made a big mistake. And I said, I asked the Lord to do something for me. And I said, if he would do it for me, I would do what he told me to do. And he looks at me. I'm looking for some kind of consolation, something to help me with this commitment. And he says to me, the problem is people not doing what they were supposed to have been doing all the time. I mean, that's no help for me. So I only have one hope now. And that is, as bad as I want my uncle to go home to see his mother, I'm hoping that when the time comes, he changes his mind. But unfortunately, Mother's Day come. Mother's Day is coming. We get in my little red Omni. I'm so overwhelmed. Arkansas, my home is 1,100 miles away from Detroit, Michigan. Detroit, Michigan. And I gets in the car and I drive straight through. Only stop to get gas because I'm just too pumped up with this whole idea now.
Right.
I get home. I go and knock on my grandmother's door, and I tell my uncle, which is her son, to stay around the corner. And I say, hey, big mama. And she come out the door, and she's happy to see me, but she still does not have that look that I wanted to see.
A joy.
Yes.
Right.
And finally, he walks from around the corner. And I am here to tell you, it was worth every bit to see the smile on her face that filled my heart with joy, to see the joy finally come in on her face. And we stayed there all this time. We stayed there and enjoyed the time. But I have to come back.
Right.
I got to come back to Detroit.
Right.
Because my pastor have already told me, let me know, Nettles, when you get back.
Right.
What is what.
Right.
So we come back. I come back. And I says, well, Lord, if you call me for me to minister, I need a sign.
Another one.
Yes.
You need another one.
More
robust than the one you just got.
Yeah, I need a sign.
You need confirmation.
Yes. So I said, Lord, a minister needs a robe. If you call me to minister, provide for me a robe. Now, this is going to show you how sometimes you can outthink yourself.
Yes.
I'm graduating from Wayne County Community College.
Right.
I go downtown to pick up my robe and hat. And I'm going through the line, and the girl is passing out the robes and the hat. When I get to her, and she hand me mine, she holds on to it. And she says, try it on. I said, try it on.
So ain't nobody
nobody else is trying theirs on. She said, well, some of them are larger, and I need you to try it on. I'm upset because I still believe me, it still have not registered in my head
Right.
that I asked the Lord for a robe.
Yes.
So I go over to the mirrors, put the robe on. When I drop the robe on, the Spirit said, "Here is your robe." This is too much. This is happening. This is too much happening. This is something out of a
movie.
Yes. My life
It's a movie.
So I have the robe. Now I'm upset again because I done got the robe. So there was a second thing that I asked for, but for some reason that evades me.
Okay.
But the Sunday that we're getting ready to go to church, I tells the Lord, if you call me to minister, that man that I saw in my vision in 1979, which was a friend of mine,
right,
who I have not seen in about 6 or 7 months. So I said, Lord, cause him to come to my church. So now I'm good. I know I have the Lord now. I'm out of this. I have him now.
You got him.
Yes. So my wife and I, we're riding on our way to church at 4660 Military. I'm on 94. I'm getting ready to come up on Livernois. As soon as I almost get to Livernois, my wife says to me, out of the blue, "When have you heard from Minister Murphy?" And boy, that struck a match on me. I know she thought I was out of my mind, because now I'm screaming and hollering at her. Because why is she asking me about this man at this time, because I have not shared with my wife. The only person that I've shared with what I'm going through is my pastor. Nobody else knows what I'm going through with this idea of a calling but my pastor. I haven't said one word to her. And she asked me about the man, about him. Out of all the men in the world, she said, "When have you heard from Minister Murphy?" And I go off. I literally go off. I want to know, why are you asking me? Because he doesn't have to show up. Only thing he has to do is be brought up.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
So you had asked the Lord, who in Hebrew they say Yahuwah. You had asked him to bring him. I thought you had asked him to bring
him to the church.
Bring him to the church.
Right.
Okay.
Just let him come to the church.
Okay.
He knew where my church was.
Okay.
Yeah, but I haven't seen him in about 7 or 8 months.
So the significance of your wife bringing him up is that she don't even know that that's what you asked.
Okay. None whatsoever. I've not even shared any of this with her. Okay. Not from the beginning about the struggle that I'm going through with this calling.
So now you know you like,
I'm
man,
done.
You done. You go. You done. Okay.
So I get to church. At that time we was in the basement. The pastor's office was in the basement. I go in the office, and when I go in the office, he stands up. He said, "Nettles, what's up?" And I look at him and I said, "Pastor, I'm still before the Lord." Now, as a deacon, you got to do devotion.
Okay.
So, in my mind, if I rush out of the office and go up and do devotion, and I get involved in the devotion, then this would help get it out of my mind. And out of all the time, these older men, I'm the youngest deacon, the rest of them way older than me.
So basically, you running like Jonah in the whale. You trying to evade your purpose by any means.
Any means necessary. These old men never start devotion on time. So I know if I get up, I'm gonna be in it. As soon as I go upstairs, they're already in devotion. Now I can't go join them. Only I can go stand in front of them and be in devotion. And I'm standing there. And the Spirit says to me, "You won't get another sign." Just like that. Just come, you won't get another sign. I turn, walk back down those stairs, and I walk in the office, and I look my pastor in the. When I walk in the door, he stands up and reaches out his hand. And he said, and I said, "Pastor, I can't handle it no longer. I can't. I'm coming."
Okay.
I give in.
Okay.
I give in. I said, "Just do me one favor." All I ask is, because there had been about 3 young men that had coming to the ministry while I was in the church.
Right.
And he always would stand up and make the announcement about we have a new minister and a new calling. And I said, just do me one favor. I said, you don't have to say anything today. Just, whenever you can. And so he looks at me and he said, Nettles, when you left out of my office, the Spirit said to me plainly, that boy is in trouble. He is in trouble. I said, but I'm giving in. And so I go back upstairs and he comes up for the minister to start the service. And the first words out of his mouth.
Because you still running when you asked him not to introduce. You still running.
The first words out of his mouth was, members and friends, the Lord has blessed us, and Deacon Nettles has been called to come into the ministry. And he stands up and bid me to come up to the pulpit. Now this is what was so overwhelming. I walk up in the pulpit and he gives me the seat. When I sit down, the moment I sit down, something come up off of me. It was like the burden that I had.
That you didn't even know you had.
Yes, that was overwhelming me. When I sat in that seat, I felt within me something just come up off of me. Just lift it up. And I was at home. And I felt all of the tension, all of the heaviness.
Deliverance.
Yes, all of that was on me, all of that just had me confused and not knowing and fearful as well. It left. And I felt so much better. And from that day, I began to minister, and I had many friends that was also already in church.
Okay.
And we talked all the time, and they were of another faith. They were of, they called them Jesus only, Pentecostals.
Okay.
And they explained to me that what I had was good, but I needed to make one more step.
Right.
And whatever that step was. But my first sermon that I preached was about the woman at the well.
Okay, I'm familiar.
And at the woman at the well, when Jesus spoke to her.
Who had been married 5 times.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. She left and went down to the city and brought the men back to meet Jesus. And after Jesus had a conversation with them, they looked at the woman and said to her, we are grateful for your testimony, but we know now for ourselves that this is the Christ, the Son of the living God.
Because she was the Samaritan woman.
Right.
And he noted that they didn't mess with the Samaritan.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. But that was my first sermon.
Okay.
And my subject was, I thank God for your testimony.
Okay.
But I know for myself that Jesus is the Christ, the Son of the living God. That was my first sermon. And it's been uphill ever since.
Okay, so you took some time to tell the people on Pastors of Detroit who you were.
Yes.
But tell me who you are today as a man. You know, the in-depth discussion and talk that you gave us was well needed. You know, because it invites us to who you are now.
Okay.
And just give us an understanding of who you are now as a man who is how old?
76.
76 years old.
Yes.
And been pastoring for 30 years.
No, 24 years.
24 years. And you didn't see so much. You come from the 60s, 50s, you in 2026.
Yes.
Where it's completely different. Yeah. What kind of man has life made you today? Now, we understand that you don't drink, you don't smoke, 50 years, boom, but what kind of man are you today? And just tell us.
I would,
are you skeptical? Are you less faithful? Are you overwhelmed? Are you what kind of man are you today?
I would categorize myself as a man of the people.
Okay.
The spirit of giving and encouraging has always been a part of me. I believe that come from coming up, being in charge of my family and having responsibility and looking out for others. And my happiness comes when I'm in a position to extend myself to others. Case in point, I began coaching tennis during my time at PAL, Police Athletic League. And I coached tennis for 17 years at PAL. During the time that I'm coaching tennis, I had over 110 children on the tennis court. And when each child would come through my gate, I was at Stein Park at Cody High School. Each child that come through my gate, I would explain to them, this is First Baptist Stein Field. There will be no fighting. There will be no cursing. You here to learn tennis. And I gave myself to these children to not only coach them tennis, but to help the young men become men of responsibility. Because in tennis, the first thing you learn in tennis is sportsmanship.
Okay.
Sportsmanship is about how to get along and how to win, not only how to win and how to lose. I taught them not only how to win, because I would tell them everybody want to win. I said, so it comes with winning, losing come. And there's a way that you need to act when you win, and there's a way you should act when you lose. You still have to be a man. You still have to be a woman. You still have to be upstanding. You still have to show yourself worthy. So that's what I call extending myself.
Okay.
And all of the young men, every one of the young men that went through my tennis court, even today, 50 years later, they still call me, they call me coach and pops.
Okay.
Even today, they still say, so
you would say today, kind of man you are, you're a father.
Yes, the father image, and that come from the responsibility that I grew up with. Because the one part that I did not say was as the oldest in the home, the first thing my mother told me was that I was responsible for the home, because she had to go to work. I had to, and my responsibility was to be sure that the house was protected, to be sure that my sisters and brothers did what they were supposed to do, along with me doing my responsibility. So today, I would say, now what I can't leave out is my wife.
Okay.
I can't leave my wife out, because she is responsible for me being the kind of man that I am, because she's the kind of woman, she was the kind of woman that she was. I lost her in 2025.
Okay.
She passed away in 2025. It's been a rugged road since then. But my wife, being the type of woman that she was, helped to keep me grounded and stable, because she was a true helpmeet to me. There was never in our home no hollering. She couldn't stand hollering. There was no cursing, none of that ever in our home. One thing that I have said many times, and nobody wants to believe me. And why, I don't know. But my wife and I never argued. There was no arguments. Her and I didn't argue about anything because my wife was a woman that was a woman of the Bible. She submitted herself unto me.
Okay.
And as a wife, and not only by her submitting herself, then I loved her. And my responsibility was to love her, to take care of her, to cover her. So we both did our job. So there was never a reason for no arguments, because what was there to argue about? Not that she agreed on everything, but we just didn't argue about it. I just didn't have that type of spirit in me.
Okay, so it's been a pleasure, this part of the interview, learning who you were and learning who you are today. So we'll be back.
All right.